Good afternoon, everybody. It's time to talk about injuries. Both teams, the Seahawks and the Titans, have released their final injury notes going into Sunday's game. So now we just have to break it down and try to figure out where we stand. And there will be some attempts to read the tea leaves, but we have a pretty good slate of information. So Seahawks will start with not too bad. It's not too bad. We know that Eskridge and Penny are almost certainly not playing, but we've known that all week, I think. Carroll basically said that Penny was not going to play this week on Wednesday, and Eskridge suffering what seemed to be a pretty significant concussion. You don't want him to play. It's just a bad idea. So you won't see either of those guys, I'm almost positive. However, other than that, we have a chance to see everybody else, and that includes Penny Hart, who did not miss any practice time this week despite having a concussion of his own. So it must have not been as significant as Eskridge's, and admittedly, it's hard to get much more significant than Eskridge's because of the way he reacted after he got hit. But he will indeed be out there, it looks like. It would be a surprise at this point if Penny Hart does not play. Jamarco Jones didn't practice on Thursday with a knee injury, but it seems to have gone away as quickly as it showed up. So that's good. Poona Ford, limited participation on Thursday, but full practice today, it looks like. And I believe that he will no doubt play against the Titans. So that's all pretty good news. The areas of concern going into these next couple of days will be the status of three players, three starters, kind of, actually. I don't know if you consider Brian Monet to be a starter, but he plays snaps like a starter. So Monet is questionable, and I get the indication that he will play. He's got an elbow injury, so we'll see how much that limits him, if at all, but I expect Monet to play. You also have DJ Reed, who did practice earlier today. I know that doesn't show up here, but DJ Reed has a calf injury, but I believe he practiced today, so I expect to see him out there as well. And the final guy to talk about is Damien Lewis. So Damian Lewis looked totally fine at the start of this week. He had a full practice on Wednesday with no injury declaration, as far as I know. And then suddenly he shows up with a groin injury on Thursday, doesn't practice, and we're a little unclear on what happened today. So Corbin Smith tweeted about this. Pete Carroll told reporters a little bit ago that Lewis practiced and looked good. He's listed as questionable with groin injury he suffered earlier in the week. If Lewis did practice today and looked good, as Carroll said, then that would be a pretty strong indication that he's going to play and be fine. However, the injury report that was released just a few minutes ago for the Seahawks actually said he did not practice. So I don't know who's telling the truth here. I don't know if there was a mistake made on the final report for Friday. I don't know if Carroll made a mistake and maybe he meant DJ Reed when he said Damien Lewis, because Reed did practice a little bit today. Carroll said that, and the final injury report said that as well. So we may have a little bit of an issue there. And it seems at least possible that Damien Lewis doesn't play. I think he probably will play. If you analyze what Carroll said in his presser just now, sounds like all three guys are going to go. I really expect Monet to at least play. DJ Reed, it's not a great matchup for him this week anyway, honestly, and we'll talk more about that tomorrow, but I think he's going to play. And Damien Lewis, so if you look at the timeline here, seems like something happened in practice on Wednesday. And if you really didn't practice at all the last two games, then that's dicey. Now, the good news is the Titans don't have an amazing interior defensive line that is going to really put a lot of pressure on us to be fielding our best unit in there. But they do have Jeffrey Simmons, and he is good. He's definitely good. He's probably the best player on that defensive line. And you would like to have Damien Lewis out there at his best to play against a guy like that. But we're still waiting for clarification on whether or not he actually practiced today. If he did practice, then I'm confident he's going to play. maybe not at 100%, but at that point I would be pretty confident that he would at least go out there. If he didn't practice today, then that hurts. That hurts because, look, Eskridge, not having Eskridge out there, it's unfortunate because he adds a dimension to this offense that nobody else can. But we can live without that, especially against a fairly weak Titans defense. But losing Damien Lewis, now you're taking away starters. Now you're unseating what is supposed to be the area of our area of strength. So really hoping that Damien Lewis can go at the kickoff on Sunday, but we'll monitor that situation. But pretty clean other than that. Let's jump over to the Titans and see what they've got. So earlier this week, it was looking a little dicey with A.J. Brown because he didn't have a full practice on Wednesday, but seems like he's fine. He's going to play. So the guy who's not going to play is Caleb Farley, who had a shoulder injury. Looks like he was fine on Wednesday and did not practice yesterday or today, and he is out. So the first-round pick of the Tennessee Titans and one of the corner pieces of their defense that they hope is going to start turning things around for them because they've been bad on defense for over a year is out. And that's a pretty big deal. I don't know if Caleb Farley was their best cornerback already, but this is the second week in a row a key piece of an opposing secondary is just not going to be out there. So Metcalf and Lockett should be looking at another good opportunity to have a good game. Everybody else, I suspect they're going to play, but Bud Dupree was limited in practice all week, and he's questionable. I cannot imagine him not playing. Honestly, I feel like this is kind of a thing with Bud Dupree where he's just going to show up on the injury report all week because he tore his ACL all year. And he's obviously not himself, but he's going to play. I feel like Bud Dupree's going to play. Tight end Anthony Ferkster didn't practice very much this week either, questionable. Harold Landry was a big one. He showed up on the Wednesday injury report, but he's definitely going to play. He participated in practice to the fullest extent the last couple days. Josh Reynolds practiced all week, so he's going to make his Titans debut. The last one that's interesting is Jayon Brown, I believe he's one of the starting inside linebackers for the Titans, and he's a pretty good player. He did not practice on Friday with a hamstring injury and is now questionable. So you look at that defense, they don't have a lot going for them. They have some talented players, but they're already starting to suffer some losses of those talented players. And Jayon Brown is one of those guys that on a pretty bad defense is at least a pretty decent player. So if they do not have him on Sunday, that's definitely a loss for their run defense. It's definitely a loss for their ability to stop our run game, stop our tight ends. So if you take a look at this Titans defense, they really didn't need to be dealing with this right now. And I have a feeling that if any of these guys are limited in their ability to play or can't play at all, what was already probably going to be a shootout is just going to be more of a shootout. All right, that's what we got for this week's injury report. Not too bad for the Seahawks, although Damien Lewis's situation is worth monitoring. And the Titans, they got some problems on that defense. And doesn't seem like it's going to be something they're going to be able to overcome this week with all these injuries. But see you guys later. Go Hawks. Should be a stream later today. Keep an eye out for it. See y'all later.